Hey, what's going on? This is Ricardo with the Code 7 Podcast Network, and we're about to get started with the Dispatchers Roundtable. It's going to be round 44, but first, as always, a quick word from our sponsor.
Dispatchers help callers on the worst days of their lives. For over 25 years, we've been there. A silent partner in millions of calls thanks to our redundant and diverse networks that ensure call delivery. Today, cities are bigger, traffic more congested, and the challenge is more complex. But you're never alone, because InDigital is quietly improving, implementing, and driving the next generation of 911, so you're supported in every situation. Make the switch at indigital.net.
If Within the Trenches has ever taught you something, open your eyes to what it is like to be a 911 dispatcher, or has inspired you to become one, then help support us and join our Patreon. Get exclusive bonus content, one-of-a-kind swag, discounts on merchandise, ad-free early access to new episodes, and much more. To join, please visit patreon.com/WTT podcast. And if you're an industry partner, we have something for you as well. And now, for the show.
This is Jordan, and you're listening to the Code 7 Podcast Network.
Warning. This episode contains the 3 A's of podcasting: adult content, adult language, and awesomeness. You've been warned.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back. Welcome back. Just had a little bit of information there for the sponsor, so thank you very much to InDigital, leader next gen core services. A big shout out to all subscribers as always. Thank you for everything. And you probably saw the little open mic thing there. We're not doing open mic. This is Dispatchers Roundtable. I just used the beginning of that, and I'll add a Dispatchers Roundtable one here soon enough. But I am excited to be here with all of you. We've got a bunch of people checking in on this other screen that I have over here for Instagram only. And then we are also live on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. No pressure as everyone's staring into their cameras. Again, I'm excited to be here with all of you who are watching, listening, and supporting and sharing. Please make sure to throw out some, add some reactions, share this. We can get some more folks in here. And if you have any questions at all, you can definitely put those in the comments. But I have got a group here with me today, and I am with the Compassionate Care Committee that is out of Atlantic APCO. So welcome everyone. And what I want to do right off the bat is give everyone the opportunity to give themselves a quick introduction. So we're going to start with Chris right over here. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Carlton, and I am the Communications Supervisor with the Northborough, Massachusetts Police and Fire Department. I've been involved in public safety for over 25 years, the last serving 9 as a communications supervisor. I am currently an at-large member of the Atlantic chapter of APCO, and obviously a member of the Compassionate Care Committee. Also the Worcester County Regional Vice President of the Massachusetts Communications Supervisors Association, and the current Vice President of MassNINA.
So you're not busy at all, it sounds like.
I like to stay busy. Yeah, definitely.
You got a lot of stuff going on, and I'm going to be seeing you in September, actually.
You are, yes.
You're going to be going to the ranch. So that's going to be awesome.
Can't wait.
And I see we lost Diamond there for a moment. I see her in there right now. So I'm going to bring you up here in just one moment. Amy, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Amy Therian. I've been in the dispatch world for 26 years, 25 of it on the floor. Left the floor last year to be a training coordinator. Right now I'm working with the Vermont Enhanced 911 Board as their training coordinator for their state call takers. So super excited to be part of the Compassionate Care Committee. This is a true passion of mine.
All right, excellent. Welcome. Diamond, I've got you up back on the screen here. And then Jenny, you are next.
Hey, Jenny Hill. I'm the operations manager at Neshoba Valley Regional Dispatch in Devens, Massachusetts. I've been in public safety for about 11 years now, 6 in dispatch, and I still am able to work on the floor, even though I am admin now. I've been a member of APCO for basically the whole time I've been at Neshoba. The co-chair of this amazing committee with these wonderful people, and just can't wait to do even more with everyone.
All right, excellent. Welcome, welcome. Carol, you're next.
Hi, I'm Carol Grant. I work for Maine Department of Public Safety up here in the wonderful Aroostook County. I've been with this agency for 5 years, another agency for 5, so I've been about 10 years. Love my job. I do CISM, do 911 education for children on a couple different CISM teams, and love what we're doing with compassionate care. We have had a couple tragedies within our centers. We have 3 centers and have delivered stuff to them, and everybody has appreciated it. And Tammy always reaching out to us and others. So it's really worked well.
All right, excellent. And I look forward to hearing more about some of that stuff here coming up as well. Tammy, go ahead. You're next.
My name is Tammy DeWolf. I am retired from Berlin Police Department in Connecticut. I retired as the administrative dispatcher after 26 years. I now work for the Connecticut Attorney General, and I have been through our Atlantic chapter board from board member at large all the way through past president, and I'm the chair of this committee and could not do this without the amazing team that we have.
Excellent. Danielle, you're next.
Good evening. My name is Danielle Schwartz. I work for the Tompkins County Department of Emergency Response. I have been a first responder for the last 2 decades between fire, EMS, and dispatch. I have kind of shifted now where I also wear many hats like Chris. So I am a CIT coordinator. I'm the CISM team lead. I'm the peer support coordinator for our county first responder program, as well as the peer support coordinator for the NAMI Finger Lakes Overwatch peer support program. And then I'm the education and outreach team lead for the Tompkins County Suicide Prevention Coalition. So I am very excited to be here and discuss mental health.
All right, excellent. Diamond, go ahead. And we may have lost Diamond.
Oh.
For a second there, I thought she was thinking, but the screen froze. That's okay. We'll jump in. Well, I'll bring her back in here in just a moment when she comes back on, when it's not frozen anymore. So, well, I'll be watching as we go along here. So, let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's get started because we've got several questions that we want to get through. And I know there's a lot of folks that are watching. Sometimes people are watching at work, so they can't always put questions in there or anything. So either way, this is going to be up for replay all over social media, but especially out in the trenches community. So if you are not part of that yet, please jump on there and get in there. And there's just a lot of good stuff that's going to be coming up. So this is going to be within that one of the spaces in the community as well, where people can go back and watch it as many times as they want to. So let's start with Chris. And I want to know more, especially the audience. We want to know more about the compassionate care community and how this started to begin with.
So the Compassionate Care Committee is one of the volunteer-run committees within the Atlantic chapter. And like I said, chaired by Tammy from Connecticut. The term compassionate care refers to supporting the well-being of public communication professionals in the community or communities that they serve. Originally, a lot of other chapters were sending out totes of hope, but that's easier to do when you have one state that you're kind of in charge of. Where Atlantic APCO has 8, so it's hard to send out, logistically to every one. So decided to do something a little bit different. And in the first 2 years, they did get funding, which was positive, but it just didn't take off. So this year is really our building year to get everything up and running.
That is excellent. And yes, when I got some of the information about everything that you are doing, I got some of the mission statement and also the who we are. And yeah, you've got 8 different states that you are covering, and there's just so many different things that you guys are doing, and it's awesome that you guys are doing this because there are a lot of folks out there that do need help, and sometimes they don't we don't always ask for help, right? So if you've got a group like this, I like the look on your face there, Amy. You're like, no, you're right. It's true. We don't always ask for help. So it's good to have groups like this, to be able to do things, to reach out and to go further. So this is definitely exciting. I love hearing about this. Now, Amy, as I mentioned to you, I do want to move to you as well. So with this group, what makes your mission and your group, everything that you're doing, unique?
So, with our mission, it's to keep our chapter. So, all 8 of those states, we're trying to keep everybody connected through the kindness and compassion, to support each other through those dark, difficult times so that they know they're not alone. And also putting together resources like peer support so that they might have somewhere to go to reference to, because sometimes during those darker moments they want to step outside away from their own centers. Personally, I know how it feels to get support from peers during the darker moments. I was with Bristol Police Department in Connecticut, and to have the outpouring of support and kindness from throughout the country. And that's one of the reasons why I was like, I want to be part of this committee because I want to offer what I was given.
Yeah, I think it's for a lot of us too, when we go into doing things like this, is to leave the profession in a better place than where we found it, right? And you're building everything now, and it's not just for those right now, but it's also for those that are coming in, that literal next generation of 911. I remember being in dispatch, and I didn't know anything about. I mean, Nina, ABCO, different committees or anything like that. We didn't really talk about it. So, and I've heard from a lot of people from all over the country who've said, I didn't know that there was anything outside of the center, or programs or resources or anything that's available like that. So it's very cool that you guys are doing this. And I guess, Amy, how are you all reaching out? Like, is it just in those states, like people are able to reach out to you, or you guys reach out to them? Like, how does that part work?
So right now it's one of the, it could be a challenge is trying to remain connected to what's going on. So we have members in each state in APCO Atlantic, and we're trying to dial in so that we are made aware of when things happen, because not everything's going to be on the news or on social media. So this way we have people in each of the states and we get the information as to what's going on. We'll reach out to the committee, and then we'll go from there as to what we can do for support or what we can send
Mhm.
to those centers.
Excellent. Now, the next question was to go to Diamond, and she hasn't popped back on here yet. She did say it was kind of storming in her area and stuff. So for the next question, whichever one of you would like to jump in for this one, and kind of answered a little bit of it, but what are some more of those core benefits of this committee?
I can take it. I believe some of our core benefits are building that camaraderie within our chapter. Like we've mentioned, 8 states, it's really hard. So you want people to connect all the way from Maine to New Jersey. And I think by reaching out and staying connected and doing some things like the training, and we're going to be doing a newsletter, and these are some things we'll talk about later, but through the things that we're going to be doing and some of the events that we have, that's a huge benefit in trying to build that camaraderie and that togetherness of our chapter.
I love that because it kind of gives the kind of that aspect also that you get when you go to a conference. You get that networking piece, and you meet people from other places, and you start talking. You're like, oh, you're going through the same stuff that I am. Like, wait, what? I thought it was just us. And then you start bonding with that as well. And for those who have not been to a conference, whether it be state or national or whatever, they get kind of a taste of that with what you're doing, as you said, building that camaraderie and just coming together and letting people know, no, you're not alone in this. There are people out there. And again, I think back to even when I very first started in 2001, no resources. Like there was nothing. At least not for dispatch. I was at a small PD, and in dispatch, I remember talking to my chief, lieutenant, and everything else. They're like, "You're going to be dealing with some stuff." I'm like, "All right." And I had them there to talk about it, but I guess at the time I really didn't know, like, is it okay to talk about this? Like, am I what are we doing here? Because also there was kind of um that mentality really of that older guard of you just pull up your pants and you just move on or whatever. But things have been changing and changing for a long time, and stuff like this is just excellent. So I'm going to move over um to Danielle now. And one of the things that I read within the information that I was given um, had to do with peer support resources. So, they're just the way I have it written here, I'll just go ahead and read it out so that everyone who's watching they know. It says, you provide a list of peer support resources. Um, was there, and you kind of mentioned that there was a few incidents that have gone on. Were these incidents, was it brought upon this, or just in general that these resources are needed for the profession?
I think first and foremost, dispatchers are often the forgotten first responder. So when it comes to debriefings or if it comes to other resources, we're not thought. So one of the biggest things is the cultural competence with speaking to somebody who understands what we've seen, what we've heard, what we've experienced, and understanding that 911 dispatchers experience symptoms of PTSD anywhere from 18 to 24% higher than the general public. And that's about 5 times greater than the general public. So a first responder will go through anywhere between 5 and 800 critical incidents over their career, whereas the average citizen will experience up to 3. So if you think about how many different things we go through, and dispatchers specifically, we often don't have that closure. So we are wired, worst case scenario is what fills in the voids of information. So me specifically, when I left the dispatch floor, I had a mix of personal and professional, and I ended up getting diagnosed with severe depression, anxiety, and PTSD. There weren't any resources for me. So I decided that instead of focusing on for me and the voids in the system, I would do everything in my power to create the resources that I had wished had been in place. Because in January of 24, I was in the darkest place of my life ever. And I lost my uncle to suicide. And that was kind of my wake up call. So I don't want people to be in a place that I was and not have any resources. So a lot of what we're doing with the peer support, we're educating, we're having the hard conversations. We are working on breaking through that glass ceiling of the stigma and changing the narrative from suck it up and deal with it, but to it's okay not to be okay. And normalizing the normal reactions after a really bad call, because we are the first point of contact with somebody that's having the worst day of their life. And we are now going to be facing technology where we can receive photographs, we can receive live stream videos and previously taken videos. So that's going to shift it. We're not going to just hear things, we're now going to see things. So it's trying to fill a void and normalize talking with people and having the tools. So if you do ask somebody how they're doing, or if it gets to the point of you asking, are you suicidal? Okay, if they say yes, what are you going to do with that information? How are you going to help them other than just a deer in headlights look of, oh crap, what do I do? I shouldn't have asked a question I wasn't prepared for. So, and one of the biggest things with the peer support network is creating trained individuals who are culturally competent, who can understand what the other person is experiencing or going through, and also having a broad enough network that they can connect with people that they aren't going to see on a daily basis, that they can have more open and candid conversations with. So that's one of the biggest things of trying to create that peer support network where they can speak to somebody that they're not going to face any judgment from, as opposed to somebody like a sergeant that you don't want to speak to because you're afraid of how it's going to impact your career. Are you going to have a career? So it wasn't a singular thing, it was kind of a culmination of things. So
I love that. I love that you've got these resources, and especially with everything that you just said, because I think that's one of the things that is a huge issue, right? And it has been for a long time. I think it's getting a lot better now, but just like for myself specifically, one of the things was it was just out of fear. I didn't want people around me that I was working with to think, "Oh, Ricardo he can't do this anymore." So to me, like I didn't want that judgment, and I just held it in, and it got worse and worse. And I was one of those who would say, oh, I leave it at work. It doesn't come home with me, which this is an adult broadcast, so I'll just say it this way, which is bullshit because it's still coming home, in little ways. Like people think that we all think we're tough, right? And we are in certain ways, yes. But those things do come home, and maybe you don't realize it right away. But for me, it was, listening, to my spouse, excuse me, at the time, and but hearing like dispatch here doesn't turn off, so hearing everything else that's going on, and then come back, and she's like, did you hear what I said? And I'm like, yeah. And I repeat it verbatim, and she's like, how did you do that? Well, I'm trained that way, but things don't turn off. And yeah, it's so much better now. Like I've been telling people, there is more courage in sharing when you're ready, of course, when you're ready, in sharing what it is that you're going through, the stories, the calls, or whichever, than holding it in. You're not weak for sharing or opening up or for asking for help. And I think sometimes people feel as though they need permission to break. It's okay to break. It's all right. And that's why conversations like this are important. That's why what your committee is doing is important. And I love that you have these resources you're going to be putting out there. Also, there is, you mentioned Overwatch peer support. Now, there's a certification training event that's coming up in, I think, October. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
absolutely. It is going to be October 21st, or correction, 20th and 21st at the Berlin Public Safety Building in Berlin, Massachusetts. It will be a 2-day training from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we're going to be going through the foundational components of what is peer support, how to recognize signs of crisis, how to have those tough conversations. And at the end of it, they're going to have the option, if they would like, then they can come on as one of the peer supporters for Overwatch. Now, the Overwatch support program came out of NAMI North Texas. So through working with our local NAMI affiliate here, we've created the NAMI Finger Lakes, New York Overwatch peer support program. So in partnering with NAMI, it stays completely apolitical. And it's a completely confidential. So it's not just for your traditional first responders. So it's for corrections dispatch, it's for ER nurses, it's for veterans, it's for your probation, your parole. Anybody that's on the periphery that sees these really horrific things. If you think about CPS coming in with a really bad neglect case, what kind of resources do they have? So trying to have a system in place where everybody has the same training, can recognize things, because who better to recognize when a coworker's baseline is off than one of your coworkers? So like you had said, we had this metaphorical cape where we want to try and save everybody, but we also are human. We're going to be impacted with things. So part of this training is recognizing, normalizing, having those conversations. And it may be the first time that somebody actually asks out loud, are you suicidal? And that can be really tough for somebody to ask for the first time. And then it's also for crisis clinicians, because if you don't have a culturally competent provider, then you're going to be providing support for that clinician and handing them tissues and walking them off the metaphorical ledge because they've never heard some of these things before. So it's a big push for education and just furthering the trainings that are available and the peer support network. So it just continues to grow and grow and grow. So when somebody needs something, they've got somebody to turn to that actually knows how to help somebody and have those tough discussions. So it's completely free. And we are very excited to have this and try to bring it to other states and NAMI affiliates as well.
You said it's free?
It is free.
Wow. Even more so is awesome. And I love how you kind of mention about basically having someone who can deal with these things, in the sense of, the person that's there that you're supposed to be going to for the help. And the reason I say that is because I remember years ago in dispatch where my team and we had an incident that we went through, and we sat down with a gentleman, and I'm sure he was an amazing counselor. I'm sure he was good at what he does, but when we told him about the incident, he kind of hesitated a little bit and then just said, well, how does that make you feel? And we just kind of sat there for a moment, and with the two people that were with me, with their eyes, they told me basically, you got this. So I turned around and I said, I don't think you're the right person for us. And the cool thing though was that the guy, he didn't take any offense to it. He ended up saying, you know what, you're probably right. I've never worked with dispatchers like this before, and maybe it would be better if your people ended up finding you someone who has spoken to those in public safety. And which was cool, because I thought after it came out, I thought he was gonna gonna say some stuff to me, but no, it was good. And I think also for people, when they're speaking to someone, if they're not the right person or they don't feel like the right person, it's okay to say that. Like I've had these conversations before where they have said as well, if I'm not the right person for you, just tell me, and I'll help you try to find someone. Like, it's okay to say that and go to a different person until you're with someone that it is working, because just a little bit of that's off. If you think about it in a sense, it's not the same way. However, the same basic foundation. If you are at a training and it's someone who's teaching you something that has never been in the profession before, and you're just like, okay, like, how are you supposed to tell me this or help me when you've never done it before? And at leadership, that stuff is different, but I just mean stuff that's specific to dispatch is what I'm getting at. So again, I love that you guys are offering this, and that you have, the resources that are out there for people, and also helping them feel comfortable in reaching out and just getting more information, because it's definitely important. There are a lot of people that are suffering in silence, and people need to know that it's okay to ask for help, and that there is help out there, that there are resources. I just want to look here really quick in the comments. Right in the beginning, a good friend of ours, Joe Serio, is like, fine group there. And so for everybody who is on, and then Michael here, just responding to what you were talking about, Danielle. Michael says, and maybe some of what I said as well, for not wanting to say certain things in the beginning because I was afraid that people would judge me or whichever. But Michael over here says, the day I said I was in quotes gun shy to my director, I was sent home. So I guess let me ask that question to you, Danielle, really quick, or anyone who wants to jump on as well. Have you heard of these things happening? Because I mean, I've seen it on social media where people are afraid to say something because they're afraid that it will jeopardize their job.
I've come across many different institutions, if you will, that will say that they are about supporting their employees, and it's more just in words when it comes down to it. The lack of support shows more than anything. So, like with the Dispatcher Appreciation Week, a pizza party is great in theory, but it doesn't really show the value. So, if you're trying to create an environment where you have individuals that will step forward, and it may be the first and only time that they'll step forward and say, I'm really struggling with something. And then somebody comes down on them and they face punishment, demotion, dismissal, any litany of things. That right there can set any peer support back decades, as well as a break in confidentiality. So I guess the big learning point is don't just be there for the sake of saying that you have a policy for it, but actually follow through and lead your individuals and create the culture that is going to be healthy, and you'll have less turnover. I mean, dispatchers inherently have a very difficult job, so the turnover is going to be there. But if we don't start shifting things and creating that environment with resources, then we're not doing the first responders any service at all.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I'm a firm believer that with the short staff issue that is going on all across the country, and don't get me wrong, I know that there's a lot more to it. However, I'm a firm believer that it's going to be us that ends up figuring all this out in what you just mentioned right there in the culture, creating a culture where people actually feel like those that are there give a shit about them. And I I go around and I teach this communication course, and on the East Coast I was out there, this is about a year ago now, and there was a dispatcher there who could have driven easily about 15-20 minutes, I believe it was, to work, and were making really good money, but it was toxic there, and they were being treated like crap. And when they reached out for help, they basically were scoffed at and pushed to the side. So what this person ended up doing was they basically would drive about 3 hours away to work at a different center, and even had an apartment there for the week, and then came home that weekend, and they were making less money. And when I've told people this, the look is kind of like, oh man, I would never do that. However, how bad do you think it was for that person to have to do that? I'm pretty sure that it's different now for that specific person. Because I think they moved over there now. But for the last that I had spoke to them, that person had other people that they used to work with saying, hey, are you guys hiring there? And that's what's going to happen in places. People are going to stay in the profession, but they're going to go not so much for, well, a little bit for the money, right? But we don't do it for the money. Uh, a lot of places they're going there because they want to be somewhere that people actually care. I mean, there's a center in Michigan where a good friend of mine is a director there, and they have a waiting list for people to work there because they built such a great culture, and people stay, and they don't want to leave. But yeah, they have a waiting list for people to get hired in there, or to even attempt to try to get in there and stuff. But that's the thing, is we're going to fix this by building that culture, by having these resources, by having, like you said, those tough conversations, because we're the best at communications, right? But when it comes to communicating with each other, and it's getting better, right? It's getting better, and that, again, that's why conversations like this are very important. And I want to look here really quick in the comments. Um, Michael had mentioned just a moment ago lack of knowledge and some of the stuff that we were talking about earlier, and then Joe just put one in, says there's a difference between a program being introduced as an overlay to what already exists and a program that is part of the fabric of the culture. Typically, programs are add-ons or simply checking a box to say they have it, but it is fairly meaningless with some of that stuff. So what are your thoughts, Danielle?
I definitely think that a program that is simply there to check a box is not serving anybody, and it's doing more harm than it's helping. So, and I also think that it's, we are very fortunate to have a director here that started at the bottom and worked his way up. So he was a dispatcher, he was an officer, he's a firefighter, he's an EMT. So they truly understand the culture, they understand all of the ins and outs, and they understand system and peer support and the value of it. Not just in a, yeah, peer support is good, but they actually truly understand the value of it and support it. So there's a big difference between that and just, like you had mentioned, checking a box. So if you're going to have a peer support program and a SISM team and all these other resources for your center, then make sure that they are robust and they're actually serving people, not just on paper they seem great, but they're not utilized. So also give your dispatch center a voice in things and what works for them and what doesn't work for them. Because who better to know than the people that you're trying to serve?
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. I've told people many times, it's like, if you have any ideas, even for your like recruitment process or some of the things to show, whether it be on social media or flyers, community outreach, or anything like that, give some ideas, because I can almost guarantee you that those people are struggling because they're trying to figure out what to say as well. And as you said, who better than those that are within the trenches of 911? Those are the folks that are going to be sharing those, that have the best insight on all of it. This is, I'm sorry, I got to just say really quick, this has been a really good conversation. I'm sorry, I'm a nerd, I'm nerding out, but conversations like this, just all of it, everything that you guys are talking about, that you're doing, this is what a lot of people need. And I love that we're doing this way as well, whether it be live or people watching on the replay, because they're going to be able to get this information, do things with it, get a hold of you guys, and you know, get further out there. I want to move over to Jenny here, and there was some information and such that I had seen in some of the stuff that you had sent me, that, and I think Chris mentioned it earlier as well, but I want to know a little more about these care packages. I've heard of different places. I know my friend Don Shumway, they do different types of packages and everything. In Indiana, there is, I think it's like it's a bin. I forget what exactly they call it, but for you, what are some of these care packages, and how did that come about, and why is it important?
So with the Totes for Hope, I think Chris had mentioned earlier, some of the other chapters participate in. The premise behind that, there's different size bins that can be filled based on the size of the agency. Once they're prepared, one of the members would deliver it to the center going through a tragedy or having a hard time. And as he mentioned earlier, Atlantic represents 8 states. Logistically, it's not very possible for us to be able to participate in that program. So we decided to work within our funding and develop a signature send of sorts. So we designed our compassionate care bear. and I think Tammy has one of our little guys standing there.
Oh
So
yeah.
so if there's a center going through a tragedy or a large scale incident or something that's hard, they'll hopefully reach out to us, or we'll hear about it through our state TERT team or through the socials, and we can go ahead and send them a bear with one of our cards, a wristband, just something to let them know we're here for you. We understand what you're going through. We're going through it too. And there's Tammy had one of the cards up as well. And even sometimes if it's in good times, to congratulate them so they know that we're championing them as well when things are going well for them. Another way we're trying to help out, if there's a SISM debrief scheduled for a center and agency, we're trying to arrange to be able to have lunch or snacks or something delivered, that we will cover, just to help them get through the tragedy, because obviously, public safety, food, hand in hand, pretty much. So just ways that they know they're not going through these things by themselves, that we have all been through pretty much everything and we go through it together. Our newsletter that we're starting to put together, we're going to try to do it quarterly. Definitely informational. We'll have pieces on peer support, on resiliency in the dispatch center. We're going to try to spotlight some fun pages, different ideas, recipes, different games, and book recommendations, and different DIY projects, just places that they can see, that there's a whole group of us just trying to get through life together and do it, as best as we can with all the crazy hours we work.
All the crazy hours and all the craziness that's just in general going on in the world.
Oh yeah.
So many different things going on. Now, I do have a question about the bear. Actually, two. So, are other people able to buy those bears? Like, as and the money goes to donations to the committee, or also those T-shirts, like the little T-shirt that the bear is wearing. Like, do you guys? I'm a T-shirt nerd as well, so I'm kind of. Can I get a T-shirt? I'll buy it. I'll buy the T-shirt and donate, so you can donate the money to the committee.
So this is something that we're going to try doing. We're running by different ideas with each other in our committee. Like we said in the beginning, this is a building year, and we really take all of the input from every member on this committee, which is why it's so successful. And a couple ideas have come up, something like a sponsor, buy a bear, sponsor a bear, or buy a bear, send a bear, some things like that, where we will be able to sell them, and maybe someone can purchase one, even necessarily if they don't want one, but if they want to fill out a card or a message, and that bear will be sent out with that person's message. So we've got a couple of ideas going that we're going to hopefully get to in place soon.
Very cool. All right, so my bad. I kind of spilled the beans there, so sorry.
No, that's okay. We don't have it up and running yet, but it's definitely something we want to sooner rather than later.
That is awesome. Yeah, no, that'll be something really cool, because like I said, all of that could be, donations going to everything that you guys are doing, which is awesome. So, Tammy, as we've got you speaking here already, the next question is yours. So, for anyone who is watching that would like to create something similar in their own state, like, what is some advice that you have? What are some pros and cons? What are some of the things that you guys have been dealing with that you're like, oh man, like, I wish we would have gone through that, or because it happens, right? There's you end up starting out something and everyone is gung ho and stuff, and then you hit a wall at one point. You're like, oh crap, we didn't think about that one part. So for anyone who might be wanting to do something similar, what information do you have?
Well, we actually went through that. We hit the wall with the Totes of Hope. That is a fantastic program, fantastic idea. Not for us, only because of the 8 states. So that's really expensive. And we thought it was a fantastic idea. So we bought things we were going to put in the totes. And then we were like, wait a second, $40 to send places every time? Like, it just got way too expensive and something that we couldn't do. Great idea. I love it for chapters that might be 1 state or 2, 8 states. It didn't quite work. So we had to go back to the drawing board. I think really know who your chapter is. Like, know your logistics. That's a big thing. And that became a con in the beginning where we had to really look at our logistics and say, okay, how are we going to do this? The other thing is, what does your chapter want? Like, what are your people looking for when you go to conferences, when you talk to people? What do you keep hearing? And one of the things, some of our states are larger dispatch centers, and they're just dispatch. They're huge public safety centers. And then we have other states like Connecticut, New Jersey, they're in police departments. So you have a whole bunch of small PSAPs that are within a police department, some within a fire department, and they're not always represented. Like, I can't say this about Berlin Police. We were lucky. We had a family type atmosphere. We had a peer support team, we had a family, we were there for each other. It didn't matter if you were a police lieutenant or a brand new dispatcher. It did not matter who you were getting the same treatment, which was incredible. And I wanted that for everybody. We wanted that for everybody. The more those of us on the committee, you hear things and you talk to other people and they don't have that. And like Danielle said, who's on that peer support committee in your agency is very important. It's not about, oh, well, this guy had the most stops, he's a great guy, we're going to put him on this committee. No, it's about, who do your people feel comfortable with? Who can they trust? Who can they be vulnerable with and know that they're safe? Like, we're trying to make sure that we can assist peer support teams and groups that are out there in these agencies and give them the resources that they need to provide that experience. But we're getting it from feedback from other chapter members, from other people in other chapters at conferences. This is how we're getting these ideas. And we're all a very big part of this committee. Each person on this committee has given so much of their time and so much of themselves and their ideas. That's why this is growing. Like, this has been such an amazing year, right? We had sent out only a few care packages before, then we ran into that wall with the logistics. But now we're able to have a signature send out, a newsletter, training. Like, we're doing all these things. And I'm super proud to say that we are getting some commercial partner support as well. Like, we have a couple of commercial members on our committee, which I love, because I think that this whole public safety family is member and commercial member. It's all membership, right? There really shouldn't be this big divide. We're able to have this free training in October. Motorola is sponsoring it for us. And it's just been really nice to be able to have sponsorships, to be able to see that they care just as much as we do. So my advice would be, I know I kind of went off on what our ideas were, but my advice would be to learn your logistics, try to really listen to and feel what people want and what's lacking, and try to provide that. The biggest thing is they're your family, right? Your chapter members, even those who may not be members, but they're within your chapter boundaries, they're your family as well. This is all a public safety family. Let's just help each other.
Yeah, helping each other is always the biggest part, right? And I love that you've got all of this information and everything that you're putting out, especially those who are watching and listening, because don't be surprised if you start getting emails from people from all over the place who are wanting to know more about this, because I think these are some things that we're going to see more and more and more. And, of course, you've got national organizations, right? But there's a lot of state organizations, and everything that you're doing with the Atlantic chapter, and just coming together, everyone, to put this together. I think one of the things too, and I think you kind of touched on it already, but the same way with the CISM team, same way with the peer support team, is the same way with a committee like this, where choose people who want to be involved.
Yes.
Don't just put somebody in there, because they're not going to give a shit. And what are you going to get out of it? You're going to eventually be like, hey, you got to go. Like, so choose people that actually want to be a part of it. It's just like, team building or mentorship teams or buddy systems or anything like that. Choose someone, or choose people that want to be there, because then it's, I don't know, I wouldn't say go as far as to say that things will fall apart, but
well,
you'll be able to tell where some pieces are lacking. So it's cool that you have all of this, that you're talking about all of these things as well. If you don't mind me asking really quick, what is some of the feedback? Because you mentioned the feedback that you guys have been getting and going off of it, but what is some of the feedback that you've been getting? And was any of it surprising or just very much welcome? Like, we need this. Like, this is exactly what we were looking for.
Some of the feedback is, as a dispatcher, they're not really involved with or taken care of. That's a lot of the feedback in our areas that have the smaller PSAPs underneath a police department or a fire department. Your boss might be the lieutenant, might be a sergeant, and they don't know what you're going through. They don't understand what you do. And they're not a part of or taken care of by the peer support team that's for the police department. So for me, it's not shocking at all, I will say, because I'm naive and I thought every department was like my department. It's not, and it should have been, because dispatch is the same as police in the police department. And I say that we had incredible leadership, and that's what it is. Your leadership has to buy in. They have to, from the beginning, say, yes, this is important. This isn't just a check the box, like you've mentioned. It really has to be, okay, this is what supports our people. This makes our people strong. This is what's going to build that family dynamic. And there might be someone who really wants to be on the committee, but you have to, or on the team, you have to, as a leader of that peer support team, you have to know that that person and their intentions may be so well that other people trust them and other people. So that's the thing. The rest of your agency has to trust that person and know that they're safe with that person, because that's also a big thing. The confidentiality, the feeling safe with someone, which is another part of, like Danielle mentioned earlier, you don't always, and I think Amy mentioned it as well, you don't always want to go to someone in your own department or even your own area. So by us having a list of a bunch of peer support teams and resources, somebody from Connecticut can reach out to someone in Massachusetts and say, hey, how did you do this? How are you guys doing this? Or I just really can't talk to anyone in my department right now. Do you know of someone who I could just talk to? Or, hey, we have no idea how to get funding for this. We don't know how to do after action. Like, can you help us? So just the resources, not only for providing peer support, but getting that team up and running and going and strong.
I love that. And if it's okay, I would love to add like your information and everything into the community that I have, where there's a lot of people that have actually joined recently, and I'm putting more stuff in there, more resources, because I get a lot of emails from people who are struggling. And I talk with them. I'm not a clinician or anything like that. I just kind of speak from experience. And they'll ask me, like, do you know anyone in a specific state? So for the 8 that you cover, if anyone ever reaches out or anything like that, I would be able to have that information there. So I would love to put that there and then just kind of help, push what you guys are doing as well, which is also, what we're doing here too. So it is really cool. Everything that you guys are doing, and to have that information out there. Now, I will ask this really quick, and this might backfire on me, but the last Atlantic APCO where I was speaking at, did you guys have a booth there?
We did not. So what we had at the registration table, we were doing a raffle, and that started raising funds. The raffle we split, so that started raising funds. Yep. So that's what we had there. We really started doing this, I would say November, December, right after the conference is when the team was built.
Okay.
And
I was going to throw myself under the bus. I was going to say, did I miss it? But I had a booth as well. I was going to say. But I'm guessing, though, that as this continues to build, and with everything that's going on, the fact that you have commercial partners and everything as well, that you'll end up having a booth there, and you'll have more information and everything that's going on. That'll be really cool for those that are going there. I was going to say the other thing. If I missed it, it was because I also tried, what was that drink called?
Moxie.
Yes, Moxie. I was going to say, it's probably because of the Moxie. I don't remember anything. It wasn't that bad. I mean, it tasted like Robitussin, a little bit, but it really wasn't that bad. Like,
I'll bring you some in September.
all right. Awesome. Yeah, I'm all about it. You know, there's I know we're going off a tangent here really quick, but and Carol is next up, but I just want to say this really quick that there's a I think it's called Rocket Fizz or something like that. There's a store here and they have all different kinds of like retro candies and drinks and everything.
Oh,
And my family and I had been walking around this outdoor mall and we stopped at that place and I walked in and as everybody was looking at other things I went straight to where they had all the different like obscure bottles and stuff and I thought what if they have it here, and they did. And I had my kids try it and oh what was my eldest daughter, my 13-year-old, I think she said something to the effect of, I think now I know what regret tastes like or something like I was like, it's not that bad. And she goes, no, it's not that bad. But that was funny, right? And I was like, no, that was funny. Oh man, it's hilarious. But yes, hook me up, Chris. bring one and we'll toast at the ranch. Oh man. Well, this has been awesome to have all of you on here and talk about your committee and everything that you're doing. And I want to jump over to Carol here. So how can people find out more about what your committee is doing, whether it be, you know, email, website, social media, maybe not the email. We'll go through. We'll go through. I don't want you to get all spammed out or anything like that. So my bad, reverse, like Willy Wonka style. How can people find out more, whether it be on social media or even like a website or anything like that?
Well, you can go to the chapter website for the Atlantic APCO. We are creating a PS Connect forum also. Tammy's been working very hard on that.
Nice.
Conferences. We reach out to people. I know a lot of people in the center that I work for, which is 3 different centers were throughout the state of Maine, had never heard of it. I did go visit all of them after some incidents and took bears and wristbands and wrote them a card just to let them know that we were there if they needed anything. I had a couple of people reach out to me to ask me about it, trying to get them into it. Maine's a very big state.
Yeah. I drove it. I was driving around there. I was like, what am I doing?
And like they said, we're going to do a newsletter and just working on more stuff to get it out there for people and more information, especially like Danielle said about peer support. It's a very big thing.
Well, I am glad that we were able to do this round. This has been an awesome round, round 44, the Dispatchers Roundtable. And thank you, all of you, for being on, but especially what you are doing, and not just in this committee, but for the profession as a whole, because it's stuff that has been needed for a long time. And since about 2016 on till now, things have been changing and changing. And yeah, there are some places that things are still the same, but maybe someone will end up seeing all the things that are going on and it will change for them as well. So thank you again for everything. And I just want to read really quick the mission statement for your committee. And what it simply says here is to keep our chapter connected through kindness and compassion, to remind our members that they are not alone. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you again, all of you, for being on. For everyone who is here, who's been watching and listening, if you have any comments, questions, or you have a topic that you would like to see talked about here on the Dispatchers Roundtable, you can shoot us an email, and that is wttpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that is wttpodcast@gmail.com. But the easiest way to do all of this is to simply go to links, and that's links with 2 i's.co/IM911, and you'll find all of the information there, social media, email, where to hear the latest episode of the OG podcast Within the Trenches, as well as Imagine Listening, and also the link to sign up for free to be part of the Trenches community, where this round will live as well, and you can watch it as many times, and I'll be posting the information and such for the committee there, for, you know, as a resource if anyone ever wants to get a hold of the committee and everything that they're doing. So all of that information will be there. This can be seen on Facebook, LinkedIn Live, YouTube, X, as well as Instagram. And then you'll be able to find little clips and such on Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, and TikTok. Man, that's a lot of stuff to say at the end here. But this live broadcast has been sponsored by InDigital, Leader Next Gen Core Services, and we will see all of you in the next round. Have a good one, everyone. We will see you later.